Yesterday was certainly one of the darkest days in American history and one of the most embarrassing moments we have ever seen from a president. It was difficult to be a proud American yesterday. It's been difficult to be a proud American since Donald Trump came on the scene in 2015. But especially because they didn't just stop there. It wasn't just confined to the Oval Office. After that disastrous event, Donald Trump sent out all of his goons to continue to attack President Zelenskyy in increasingly gross displays. And the worst of all, as you can expect, came from Donald Trump's press secretary, Karoline Leavitt, who just threw an absolute temper tantrum that we're going to get into. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way, and it really does mean a lot to me. Now, before we can get into that temper tantrum, of course, we have to hear what President Zelenskyy had to say, rightfully so, that upset them so much.
Welcome back to Special Report. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy. Mr. President, thank you for the time today, especially on this day, to continue to do this interview. President Trump said after your meeting that you disrespected him and the Vice President and all of America in the Oval Office. Do you think you did? And do you think you owe an apology to President Trump?
Thank you so much. First of all, thank you for the invitation for this dialogue, and good evening to all your country, to all Americans. I'm very thankful to Americans for all your support. You did a lot. I'm thankful to President Trump and to Congress bipartisan support. And I was always very thankful from all our people. You helped us a lot from the very beginning during 3 years of full-scale invasion. You helped us to survive. Anyway, we are strategic partners. And even in such tough dialogue, and I think we have to be very honest and we have to be very direct to understand each other, because it's for us, very necessary to President Trump, and I'm with all respect that he wants to finish this war, but nobody wants to finish more than we, because we in Ukraine, we are in this war, we are in this battle, for freedom, for our lives. So I'm just telling that I think that we have to be on the same side, and I hope that the president on our side together with us, and that is very important to stop Putin. And I heard from President Trump a lot of times that he will stop the war, and I hope he will, and we need to pressure him with Europe, with all the partners. And I think this dialogue had to be a little bit earlier to understand where we are. Like, you know, I don't remember exactly, but like President Reagan said, that peace is not just an absent the war. Yes, we're speaking about just and lasting peace, about freedom, about justice, about human rights. And that's why I said that I think so, that ceasefire, and you know Putin, he broken 25 times ceasefire during all these years, 10 years.
So I'm not hearing from you, Mr. President, a thought that you owe the president an apology.
No, I respect President and I respect American people, and if I don't know if I think that we have to be very open and very honest.
Of course, he has nothing to apologize for. We can very clearly tell that MAGA got some talking points on this, and I have a theory of what actually happened yesterday that we're going to get into a little bit after the Leavitt meltdown, but MAGA clearly had their talking points. It was that Trump was so big and so strong and so great, and Zelenskyy disrespected him, but they can't point to the example of when. When did it happen? What does he have to apologize for? For stating the truth? For putting up with Trump and Vance? They really haven't given us a straight answer, and they're not gonna. They're just gonna whine, boo-hoo, and my feelings. Oh, Donald Trump didn't get enough Putin praise out of Zelenskyy. And so now you're upset? And we saw that tantrum right here from one of the worst people in the world, Karoline Leavitt.
I think it remains to be seen. I defer to President Trump on what his next step is. and what happens moving forward. But the president made his position quite clear today when he asked Zelenskyy and the Ukrainians to depart the White House. He feels as President Zelenskyy is not in the right mindset to negotiate peace, and I think, frankly, that was reinforced with his comments on Bret Baier refusing to apologize for disrespecting the president and the American people in the Oval Office. The President Zelenskyy was in the White House today and had a real chance to sign an economic agreement that would have been great for the American people to recoup our tax dollars and great for the Ukrainian people to rebuild their country. And unfortunately, he blew the deal up in his own face.
So I wanted to play both of those clips from the press gaggle and then Laura Ingraham. Wow, two really bad blondes there, huh? Don't really love that visual. But I wanted to play both of those clips because obviously, again, Leavitt pushing those talking points. Oh, he should have apologized. He was disrespectful. Didn't tell us how. But what Laura Ingraham brought up seems pretty true. I like that theory. This was a setup. Yeah, it certainly was. Definitely felt like it. The MAGA members of Congress who were at the White House immediately left with their talking points to deliver without having to be told, without any time in between. You don't think that's strange? All the cameras they brought in, literal Russian state TV was allowed. Not Reuters or the AP, but Russian state TV. You don't think they did all that on purpose so Donald Trump could play up some moment pretending to be strong? Once again, doing the most important thing in this presidency, and that's distracting. Distracting from the fact that they're failing. Distracting from the fact that consumer sentiment is plummeting. Distracting from the fact that we got tariffs kicking in pretty soon. You thought eggs were already expensive? Oh, they're going up. Distracting. Clearly it was a setup. It's not a conspiracy. That's clear as day. This is a setup. Doesn't make it any less disgusting. Actually, it makes it more disgusting. Same can be said for Karoline Leavitt. But I got plenty of thoughts. But I think they actually might be better summarized with Cory Booker right here.
Joining us now is Senator Cory Booker, Democrat of New Jersey. He's a member of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. Senator Booker, I'm really glad you could be here tonight. Thanks for making time.
Thanks for having me on a really awful day for our nation. Frankly, it's an awful day for Ukraine and our nation. The one nation that really is celebrating right now is Vladimir Putin in Russia.
What concerns you the most about that? What, for Americans who don't necessarily think about foreign policy that much, who don't think about America's role in the world, or if they do, don't think it affects their regular lives very much, what concerns you the most about us apparently abandoning our global stance of the entire modern history of our country and instead lining up with Russia and turning against our democratic allies?
I had a European leader in my office who came and asked to come meet with me privately to express his distress over Ukraine, who told me about what does it say about our world that for the first time to his knowledge we've ever seen in a UN resolution around the Security Council, America side with China and Russia in condemning what Putin did and not their European democratic allies. We are seeing a world shift right now that belies what Republicans and Democrats have been saying in lockstep. We've taken trips together over into Europe to stand with Ukraine. We've had Zelenskyy multiple times meeting with us as senators in private, him receiving standing ovations. We had a joint session of Congress where he addressed us and we stood up, and people have said time and time again that this is a stand not just in defense of Ukraine, but defense of democracy. And if we lose in Ukraine, then authoritarian leaders around the world will be more emboldened, and America will be dragged into more and more conflicts defending democracy against autocracy and authoritarianism. So this is a significant moment and a significant shift in American history where we have our president who is taunting a world leader, lying about his approval ratings, lying about who started the war, lying about who is the dictator, accusing Zelenskyy of being a dictator, not the obvious one in Vladimir Putin, taunting him before he came in. This is the guy who was impeached once. One of his two impeachments was over him trying to extort Zelenskyy, withholding weapons unless he got commitments to do his political bidding in his attacks against Joe Biden. This is a sad day for our nation. This is a shift in global geopolitics, and this is something that I am praying and hoping that we can overcome. But unfortunately, we're seeing a Republican Party right now that would rather bow to political pressure than stand tall for policies and principles.
Well, on that point, we have seen, for example, Senator Roger Wicker speak pointedly about Vladimir Putin and speak pointedly in defense of Ukraine. We saw him meet this morning with Volodymyr Zelensky and post a tweet of him shaking his hand and talking about how much he supports him, saying how much he was there to support him. He just quietly took that down after what happened today in the Oval Office. We saw Lindsey Graham go from meeting with Zelensky this morning and praising him and talking about his support for him to demanding his resignation as soon as Vance and Trump put on that display today. We saw Marco Rubio, who is until recently considered to be sort of a realpolitik Republican on foreign policy issues in the United States Senate. He sat there inert in the Oval Office today, saying nothing. Looking green, and then put out a boilerplate North Korea-style tweet of praise for Donald Trump as soon as it was done. What do you make about hope for Republicans showing any sort of resistance here? Is there any?
You know, again, this is a shift in our politics, that the Senate used to be a place where right or wrong, people would criticize a president when they stepped out of line, even one of their own party. And here is a situation that is so grave, and my colleagues know this because we meet with these leaders. I was in communication today with an Estonian leader. This has struck fear in their country because Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, Moldova, these countries know the threat of Russia and worry because Putin is using the same rhetoric with them he used about the Ukrainian people. This has grand implications beyond just Ukraine. And we know our history, but yet are failing to learn from it. If there's ever a time for political courage, even if it means undermining one's ability to get reelected, this is a time for courage. And we know from our history, when good men do nothing, that is the ingredient that is necessary for evil to be triumphant.
A gross display, but at this point, what we've come to expect from these people. What do we always say on the show? I know I can't hear it, but never surprised, always disgusted. It's what it is. We've come to expect it, come to be disgusted at their disgraceful actions that we got to keep calling out. We're doing it on this show. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button. You can leave a like on this video. And if you stuck around to the end, you can drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.